and welcome to Noble Character Crafts. My name is Amy and I'm coming to you today from eastern Nebraska, where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Monday, March 28th, 2022. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. Thank you so much for joining me today. You can find me online on Instagram at Noble Character Crafts, and you can get in contact with me through my email at noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. I will have links to the places that you can find me in the description box below, as well as the show notes for this episode. This is a channel all about my crafty life, and today I have crocheting and knitting to share with you all. I am hosting a year-long make-along on Instagram called the Make 9 2022 Mal for you to join in the Make 9 Challenge, where you choose 9 projects that you would like to make this year and post a grid of those projects to Instagram along with the hashtag Make 9 2022 Mal. And anytime that you post a picture of your works in progress or any of your finished objects from that Make 9 board, you can also include the hashtag, and that will enter you to win a prize, which I periodically draw throughout the year. Last episode, I announced a winner for a prize from the Make 9 2022 Mal, and I never heard from that winner, unfortunately. So I redrew a prize since it has been almost 3 weeks since I recorded last, I believe. So the prize that I had announced was a copy of a beautiful cowl called the Autumn Sunrise Cowl, and it is a design by Charmaine Celliers. And she donated this beautiful pattern, and it is made using 7 mini skeins. And so the prize also will come with these 7 mini skeins, which are all dyed by me. They're all on a fingering weight, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon base. And, well, you can just see the color combination here. Some of these are one-of-a-kind colors. I don't sell my hand-dyed yarn anymore, so they're all kind of, you know, special in that way, I guess. So hopefully the winner will enjoy these. So I did do the random number generator again to choose a new winner for that, and the winner is, well, I know who this person is, but she doesn't post her name on Instagram, so I'll just announce her username, which is butterflybear0000. So congratulations to you. I actually do have your address, so if it hasn't changed, then I will, no problem. But do get in contact with me anyway, though, because I need your email address so that I can let Charmaine know to forward you that pattern. So please get in contact with me. Congratulations to you. Thank you so much for participating in the Make 9 2022 Mal. And then I also received such a generous package in the mail from another viewer of this podcast, Nicole. And she has donated prizes in the past, which is just so nice. And she sent another package, including this prize. So it has 2 skeins of this beautiful sock yarn. It's Premier Yarns, a Deborah Norville collection, Serenity sock weight, and the color is called Pink Sugar, and it is, I believe, it's a 50% superwash merino wool, 25% rayon made from bamboo, and 25% nylon fingering weight base. Those are the beautiful colors. So you get 2 50-gram skeins of that. And she also sent 2 skeins for me to keep as well. So that was so nice of her. And then also part of the prize is this fun cup that says happiness is homemade on both sides. So that's super pretty as well. I'm nervous about mailing this and it getting broken, but it came to me from Nicole unbroken. So hopefully hopefully it will get off in the mail to Trisha of Joy in the Stitches. You are the winner of this prize. So congratulations to you. I also have your address. So as long as, I don't think you've moved. I don't think. So if your address has not changed, then I'll be able to get this off in the mail to you as soon as possible as well. But also just drop me a message just to make sure that, your contact information hasn't changed. And then also included with Nicole's package were 5 of these adorable little bunny baskets that she crocheted one for each of my kids. Isn't that so sweet? And it's filled with Easter candy. Isn't that adorable? I was just so touched that she made one for each of our kids. So I'm saving these for Easter to give to the kids. So they're so cute, aren't they? Oh, I should have asked her what the pattern was. I'll try to ask her and see if I can put it down below and include it in the show notes as well. I hadn't thought about that ahead of time, but so sweet. So thank you again, Nicole. That was so generous of you to send that package, and I just love everything that you sent. Thank you so much for your generosity. I truly appreciate it. I also got a huge box of yarn donated for the Make 9 2022 Mal, and I'll go over that at the end of the episode. But another viewer of the podcast sent a huge box of yarn that she wanted to gift for prizes. So I will be sharing more goodies later on in the episode. Again, congratulations to both of you winners, and continue to join in the Make 9 2022 Mal. If you haven't already, we would love to have you join in. It's a year-long make-along, and you're not required to finish anything. So there's no pressure. It's just a participatory make-along. So please feel free to continue to join in. I personally am failing miserably at my Make 9. I made 2 boards, and I haven't started a single project from either board, which is ridiculous. But that's just the way it is. I will definitely get to those projects hopefully very soon, but I haven't yet. So I'm not giving up hope yet, but I didn't have a lot of hope that I would finish those 2 boards to start with. So now that it's at the end of March and I still haven't started, you know, it's looking very unlikely. But I do plan on making at least some of the projects that I have on those Make 9 boards. So we shall see. I do have a few. Oh, today I wanted to share what I'm wearing first. I am wearing my Kimba shawl, which is a pattern by Ambah O'Brien, and I finished this last year. It was on my, I think it was on my, I can't remember now, but I'm thinking it was on my Make 9 board for 2020 and 2021, but I did finish it in 2021. Anyway, it is one of my favorite shawls. I wear it a lot. Even though it has, you know, quite a bit of color in it, I feel like it's a pretty neutral shawl. I just am able to wear it with a lot of outfits, and I think it just kind of goes because the colors, I don't know, I just think that the colors go with a lot of stuff in my wardrobe. So I tend to wear this a lot. I also really love the shape. It's a very wearable shawl. It's fingering weight, so it's not too hot, and it is just a nice shawl. I made it using a homespun house yarn, some yarn that was gifted to me by a viewer of the podcast. Am I going to remember that name of her company? My knitting book is just out of reach. I should have made sure that I had that in hand because I always reference it. It has all this. I haven't gone over this in a little while, but this is my knitting book. So I keep all of my notes from all of my knitting and crochet projects in this book, and I've started it back in 2019, so I have a lot of projects in here. But it is sometimes difficult to find projects that are old because I have to like flip through here and find, you know, I don't have it in any sort of order. I mean, it's in a start date order, I guess I should say, but it's kind of hard for me to remember exactly when I started this shawl, but I think I started it back in 2020. Thinking in August of 2020, if I remember right. Let's see. Yeah, I was right. Strings to Stitches. That was the other yarn that was in this. Adriana was the dyer of Strings to Stitches, and she doesn't dye anymore, but that was the first color that I used, which is right here. Anyway, and I also have some of my own hand-dyed yarn in here. So yeah, I started in August of 2020 and finished it in February of 2021. I have a few finished objects to share with you all today. The first of which is this Afghan that I finished. This is an Afghan that I was crocheting for my stepmom's friend. She asked me to make this for her friend as a gift, and I was overjoyed to do that because I absolutely love crocheting blankets, and I love making gifts for people. Especially if I know that, you know, if it's a requested thing, then it's even better because I know that they're going to want it. because a lot of times if I knit or crochet a gift for somebody and they don't know about it, if it's a surprise, then, you know, I'm always a bit leery if they're even gonna like it or whatever. But if somebody asks for something, then that's great. And she asked for these colors, sage and cream. The yarn that I used is from Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn line. The 3 colors that I used are light sage, and then I used a different sage color in here called Sage Advice, and then the cream color is called Ivory. And that's all worsted weight, 100% acrylic yarn. The pattern is from this old book called A Year of Afghans, 1997. It's by Leisure Arts. It is still available on Amazon, and I will link to that in the description below as well if you're interested in getting this book. This is the second Afghan that I've made from this book just this year, so I've gotten a bit of use out of it. I just found it at the thrift store for $1. There's the price tag on the spine. So I'm super happy that I was able to finish this. I decided to, last time I recorded, I still had a few rows, I don't remember how many, to add onto it, and I did decide to shorten it. The original pattern calls for you to do, each row has 7 squares in it, and then you're supposed to do 10 rows, but I only did 9 rows. So I have a total of 63 squares in here. So that was the one modification that I made. Another modification was that I had to add in this extra color. The original pattern calls for you to only use 2 colors, but Hobby Lobby didn't have enough of the light sage color when I purchased the yarn that I needed for this Afghan. So I got a few skeins of the light sage as well, and I really like the contrast that that gave. So I'm super happy that that turned out the way that it did. And then I also decided to modify the border as I thought I might. And I had mentioned last time that I was thinking of using the same border that I had added on to this pot holder. This pot holder I made using the same pattern just to try out this pattern to start off with to see if I would want to make an entire blanket using it. So I made up this pot holder and then just added this pretty border onto the edge of it that I made up myself. And I will put in the description box below the details for this border if you're interested in knowing how I did that. For the blanket, I did have to modify that just a little bit since it wasn't, you know, I had to do something right here in the join. So I just did another little tiny picot right there in the join. But otherwise, I was able to do the same pattern that I did on the pot holder, and I just love how that looks with this pattern. I think it's a really elegant finish to the blanket. I'll go ahead and stand up so that you can see it better. It's a really good size. It's nice and wide, and even though I shortened it, it's still plenty long. So there you can see it in its entirety pretty well. I think it's so gorgeous. I love looking at pieced, pieced Afghans, and I love to notice how the pattern kind of forms different shapes as the squares are combined. I just think it's so cool I love pieced Afghans, and I think this pattern is so pretty. I'm so happy with how it turned out. Isn't that lovely? I think it's great. I pieced these squares together, sewed these pieces together using a whip stitch as the pattern called for. I had originally tried to join as I went along because I usually do that when I do a pieced Afghan. Lately I have been, but it wasn't working out for this pattern. The pieces weren't laying nicely. So I decided to follow the pattern and do a whip stitch to join the pieces, and that worked out so beautifully. It lays so nicely, and it really was a fast way to put the pieces together. I also used the recommended hook size, which was an H5 millimeter hook. Is that right? That sounds weird now that I say that, but I think that's right. Let me just check. Yes, that's right. I think that is all for this project. I'm so pleased that I was able to get it done. It was such a joy to work on. It was such a relaxing project, and I thoroughly enjoyed working on it. So I'm so pleased with it and how it turned out, and I'm super excited to get this off in the mail. I think that my stepmom is really going to be pleased with it, and I'm pretty sure her friend will really like it as well. So I'm very excited that I was able to make that for her. So that is all that I can think of for that project. I started it in January, and it took me just under 2 months to make it. I also finished all of my dishcloths that I've been working on. I've knitted through all of my cotton stash. So I've been working on these dishcloths since the beginning of the year, I think. Yeah, I've been working on these dishcloths since the beginning of the year, and I was able to finish all of them. So I'll go over them quickly. This pattern is a new to me pattern that I came across back in January. It's called the Classic Easy Knit Dishcloth by Carolyn Stanton. I was working on this dishcloth when I recorded my last video. This is Knit Picks Dishy in the silver colorway. Yes. So I finished that one. I used US 6 4mm needles, and I only increased to 52 stitches instead of the recommended 60 stitches that are in the pattern before I start decreasing, just because I like the size that that gives. Then I was super excited to go through all of my little scraps and make scrappy dishcloths. So I had a bunch of blues and gray, I guess I added to this one. So here was the first one I did. I love how these scrappy ones turn out. They're so much fun. They work up even quicker because it's more fun to work through scraps, I think. There's that one. And finally this one. So those are fun. And then I had some extra greens and browns and more neutral colors that I worked up into this one, which is fun. And then finally I had just the last of all of the scraps were really rainbow colored. So these last few are super crazy looking, but again, lots of fun. I don't know if I'll gift these or just keep them. This one's really cute. I like how this one turned out a lot. Tiny, tiny little bits went into these though. And then I use about 35 grams per dishcloth, and I think I only had like maybe 25 grams left of tiny little scraps. So I made a mini one using up almost everything. I still had a little bit of this purple left when I finished this one, but very little. So this one I only increased to, I think, around 40 stitches. I forgot to count, but I tried to go across and count at the widest part, and it looks like it's like 39 or 40 stitches at the widest part. I'm gonna definitely keep this one for myself. I think it might be kind of a nice, maybe it will be kind of a nice usable cloth just to wipe up counters and stuff. I don't know. I'm gonna keep this one though and just use it myself. Sometimes these, I personally feel, lots of people love these as gifts, but honestly I don't really use them myself very often because I find that they're a bit too bulky, which is kind of ironic, isn't it? I don't use them myself, but I gift them and people seem to appreciate them. My mother-in-law absolutely loves them. She rants and raves about them. So I love making them and gifting them, but I don't personally use them. And I have a few that are in my kitchen, but I don't gravitate towards them. I like a thinner cloth usually, but I'm wondering if maybe I'll like the really tiny size. Maybe that will be more usable for me. So we'll see. So those are all of my finished objects. I feel like I had something else, but no. I guess I could show you I made up a new project bag. So this is, I guess, a new finished object, but it's more for my shop. So I decided to make up a new size of bag. In my most recent updates, I've only been selling a small and medium sized project bag, and I have in the past sold a larger size that was wider than this and shorter. And from a few comments from customers as well as my own experience, I found that that size was almost too wide, because when you draw up the drawstring, then it was almost cinching it up too, it was like such a wide bag that once you cinched it, you just lost so much of that storage space, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. but someone had suggested making one that was taller rather than wider. And so I came up with this design, or these, I mean, it's the same design as my other bags, but just a taller size. So this is the same width as my medium size bags, but it is 5 inches taller. I have cut out just a few of this size bag. I did have a few people ask if I was going to be making any larger bags, so I am going to be putting a few this larger size bag in my next shop update, which of course I don't know when that will be. I never know when that will be. I have cut out several bags. I don't know if you can see. Right there is a big pile of fabric that's all cut out. So I did that this last week, and over the weekend I cut out enough bags, a lot of bags. I'm going to be working on sewing up those bags over the next several weeks, so I'll be sure to let you all know whenever I am able to update my shop again. Thank you so much to everybody who shopped my last update. I was just blown away by how much support I was given by your purchases through my shop. I truly, truly appreciate that. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate your support in buying the project bags that I make. I just am so thankful for your support of me and my shop. I just can't tell you. So anyway, yeah, I'm excited about this new size that's quite a bit bigger. I should get a tape measure and measure it. It measures 14 inches tall by 14 inches wide when laid flat, but it does have the boxed bottom, so once you open it up, it's not, exactly 14 inches, but you get the general idea. So it's a good sized bag. Okay, on to my works in progress. Why do I feel like I'm forgetting something? I don't know. Okay, my first work in progress is in this beautiful Tanny Casey project bag. And in here is my Ellie cardigan, which I've been working on for a very long time, and I will probably be working on it for a very long time. But it's coming along, and I'm continuing to make progress on it, so that is great. This is a design by Adelheid. Last time I recorded, I was right here where this beautiful progress keeper from Tracy of Grizzly Knits is marking. So I have continued to make progress on the length, and I am done with the lace patterning on the body of the cardigan. So now it's super easy knitting. You just knit on the right side and purl on the wrong side. So this is a mindless project as far as the body is concerned. So I decided to cast on one of the sleeves to work through that, since this is almost like a 2-in-1 project now, because I can pick it up to work on it if I need mindless knitting or if I want a more focused knitting project. It works for both, because I have needles and I'm still working on the length, and then I also have needles on one of the sleeves here. So you can see this green yarn is the waist yarn that I had my sleeve stitches on hold with, and I just haven't taken that out yet. I'll probably leave that in until the sleeve is done. That way I can really kind of make sure that the second sleeve matches. That helps me to tell where I started my sleeve stitches. Anyway, I have done, I think 3 or 4, let's see, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4 repeats of the lace chart on the sleeve. I have not looked at the pattern. I'm following the lace chart on the pattern, but I'm really kind of doing my own thing with the pattern, which I do a lot of times. I originally started making this back, last year, and I was making, I think, the 4th size, and it was turning out too large for what I wanted throughout the neckline. I wanted the neckline to sit closer to my neck, and so I'm making the smallest size, but then I just did more raglan increases so that it would fit me, and I kept trying it on until I was ready to separate for the sleeves. And then for the sleeves, I just kind of did my own thing. I wanted to have a perfect repeat of the lace pattern. The lace pattern is a 12 stitch repeat. And so I had this space in the underarm, which is also a modification from the pattern because the pattern calls for you to do a crocheted provisional cast on for the underarm, and I did not do that. So anyway, I just had this space where I needed to pick up underarm stitches, and I could either pick up 8 stitches or, well, that's what I was thinking, was I was just going to pick up 8 stitches, but I thought that that was going to be too big of a space to only pick up 8 stitches. I thought I should pick up more stitches than that because it was too much space there to only pick up 8 stitches to make it lay nicely, I thought. So instead I picked up 20 stitches, and that was going to give me 9 repeats of that 12 stitch repeat around the arm. I hope that makes sense. But I have an exact, I don't know, what's 12 times 9? I don't know. I think it's like 108, something like that. Anyway, it's a little over 100 stitches on the sleeve, and I am just knitting around and around, and I'm not doing any decreases, which is my typical thing. I'm just going to knit the sleeves straight, and yeah, it's going well. I am adding the beads to this pattern, which is not in the pattern. I just wanted to add beads to this because I thought it would look amazing, and I'm so happy that I have done that. I think it's great. It's really fun to do, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. I'm so happy with how this is turning out. I'm knitting these on 12-inch circular needles. I didn't decide to go down the main pattern. I've been using a US 3 US 3.25 millimeter for my knit stitches, and then for the body I'm using a US 2.53 millimeter for the purl stitches because my purl stitches are looser than my knit stitches. And I decided to go down to a US 2.53 millimeter for the 12-inch circulars because usually with a short circular I knit a little bit looser as well. So I was afraid that if I used the US 3.25 millimeter needle that my stitches would be too loose, and I think that was a good choice. I think that the gauge looks like it's a pretty good match. So I'm happy with that. The yarn I'm using is a fingering weight Bear yarn. It is a non-superwash 100% fine merino wool. So I think that's all I have to say. I'm going to be knitting, well, I'm not sure. I haven't actually been knitting on the body too much lately because I want to try it on again, and right now I can't get that over my arm. So I could put it on a longer cord, but I just thought I'm just going to try to knit the sleeve a little bit longer until I can try it on. And I don't want this sweater to be too long. I want it to hit at my natural waist, and so I don't think I have too much further to go before I'll do the ribbing. But I'm really not looking at the pattern anymore besides following the lace chart. I'm just doing my own thing. Like, I'm not following any of the length pattern, the length directions. I know that there's decreases in her sleeve, and I'm not doing the decreases. I don't know. I'm just kind of doing my own thing now, but it's working out, and I'm loving how it's turning out. So that is my first work in progress. It's coming along, but it is a slow project, but that's perfectly fine. I will love having this cardigan when it's done. It'll be, I think, such a nice cardigan to have to wear over dresses, and it'll obviously go with everything. Since I finished the old time charm Afghan, I was able to get back to the Afghan that I'm making for my niece. So I showed this to you all. Let me see when I first started this one. I started this one back in January as well, but I only made one square, and then I put it on hold until I finished the old time charm. This is the Crocodile Stitch Sunflower Square, which I'm making into a blanket for my niece who got married last year. She eloped, and so I was never able to, gift her anything for that, and I wanted to give her a belated wedding gift. It is by Caitlin's Contagious Creations, this pattern. The original pattern, I believe, calls for you to use worsted weight, and I am using a bulky weight. I'm using Knit Picks yarn. It is Mighty Stitch, which I believe is a discontinued yarn because I got it on clearance. And bulky weight. The three colors I'm using, the yellow is called Canary, the brown is called Bark, and silver, I believe, is the gray. Yes. And it is a 80% acrylic, 20% superwash wool yarn. It's super, super duper soft. I believe this is the same base that I used for my son's blanket. Let me see if I can find that. When did I make that blanket? Must have been last year. Yes. I used Mighty Stitch worsted. And this is Mighty Stitch bulky. Yes, so I used the same base, but in a worsted weight for my son's blanket that I made him. I made him a neat ripple pattern blanket by Attic 24 last year. And that blanket has been washed so much. And I never put it in the dryer. I always just lay it flat to dry. But it has held up beautifully. It still looks like it's in really good condition. In fact, let me go get it because I just want to show you. I'm really happy with how this yarn has held up. I finished it back in January of 2021, so it's over a year old, and it gets washed at the very minimum once a month. So it's been washed at least 12 times. I bet much more than that though. Okay, here it is. I just washed this. So, I mean, it's not in new condition, of course. It has been loved a lot, but it really still looks, I think, beautiful. I'm really, really happy with how it's turned out. It's still nice and soft, and yeah, it's held up, I think, really well. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with this yarn, and I think I'll just make sure that my niece knows to I just throw it in a regular wash. I don't do a gentle wash, delicate wash, anything like that. I use regular laundry detergent, throw it in a regular warm. I always do like heavy duty actually with our clothing and blankets. So not a gentle wash by any means. And then I just lay it flat to dry. And that has worked really well. So last time I showed this to you, I think I had just done the regular pattern, which makes a smaller square than this. It only has, let's see, it ends, I believe, on this round right here. And I've added 4 more rounds of, it's just a double crochet stitch all the way around to make each square 16 inches each. And then I'm going to piece, I have already done this row, has 3 squares in it, and I'm going to do 3 more rows, so it'll be a total of 12 squares. And I think that will make a nice blanket. And then I'm not sure what I'll do for the border yet. I'm trying to decide what I want to do for the border, but I'll come up with something. I absolutely love how this is turning out though. My niece is a huge fan of sunflowers, and this is just such a fun pattern. I love the puff stitches that you get here in the center. That makes a really fun texture. And then the leaves are made using the crocodile stitch, hence the name of the pattern, has that crocodile name in it. And that has worked up beautifully as well. I am really pleased with how this is turning out. I'm using a J, I believe. A J 6mm hook. And I have also decided to sew these squares together just in the exact same way that I did for the Old Time Charm blanket. So you actually are doing a whip stitch only through the back loop to seam them, and it makes just a really neat join, I think. So I decided to do that same method for this blanket. So it's coming along well. I'm finally getting to the point where I don't have to look at the pattern quite as much. I still look at it once in a while for a few things, but I've almost got it completely memorized. So that's nice when you get to the point where you don't have to be glued to the pattern for each piece that you're making. So I've done that row, and then I have 2 squares pieced together for the second row. And I just started the next square, but I mean, seriously, I've only done 1 round. I've just started it. So here is the beginning of the next square, just the very first round. The puff stitches are really fun to make and easy to do. I love doing them. So that's coming along really well. Oh, and I'm using one of my new bags. I decided to keep one from my last shop update for myself. This was my favorite, and I'm so pleased that I did keep one. And it's holding my yarn, and it kind of coordinates with this project. So I'm enjoying using that as well. I am trying to stay focused on this so that I can get these things done and get to my Make 9 boards. That is what I'm aiming for. So that is all for that project, I believe. And my last work in progress is being held in this adorable little project bag that I was gifted by my friend Michelle, and it was made by I Heart You. Isn't it adorable? I just love the little birdies on there, and even though we're into spring, this is very fitting. It's very, very cold here again today, and you can probably hear the wind because it's pretty windy here today. So I thought that these little birds with scarves on them and hats was fitting for early spring. I feel sorry for the little birds out there when it gets cold. Like the robins are back, but they're not, it's still really cold, but that's typical, I guess. Anyway, I should share, I'm not going to probably share it in its full glory this time, but I have, since last time I recorded, finished adding in all of the yarn that I put into my Advent turtleneck sweater that I showed off on my last episode. So this is the excavation blanket where I am adding in all of the colors that I put in, that I use whenever I finish a fingering weight project, I add those colors to this blanket. This is a free pattern by Jana Pahota, and I shared this off in more detail on my last episode if you're interested. But anyway, I just wanted to share that I did end up I finished putting in all of the colors that I had put into that Advent turtleneck sweater. This beautiful progress keeper that I was sent from Erica of the Rose Opal Knits podcast is marking where I was last time I showed this on my last episode. So I've added a couple more inches to this beautiful blanket. And since I finished that, then I am using up these colors, starting here with these pinks up to the end here. These are all the colors that Emma from Potter and Bloom sent me for our Advent mini swap that we did at Christmas time. And then with all of the leftovers that I have from that swap, I am making a pair of scrappy socks. The Rose Opal Knits ladies are also hosting a scrappy sock mel right now. So I haven't posted a picture of this onto Instagram yet, but I do plan on doing that to join in their make along. So that's super fun. I love making scrappy socks, and it's perfect timing for me because I really have been so excited to work up these socks using up all of the leftovers that I have from Emma's swap. So I used the yarn that she sent me in the turtleneck Afghan, and then I added it to the excavation, and now I'm making socks. So I have 3 different projects using those yarns, which is so much fun. I cast on 64 stitches. I'm using US 0.2mm needles. All of the needles that I use are Chowgu red lace, by the way. I knit 2x2 ribbing for 20 rounds. And again, I'm just using up all of the yarn that I have. I am not 100% sure if I'll have quite enough to make a pair of socks for myself, because some of the yarn, as I knit through the yoke in the Advent turtleneck sweater, obviously as the yoke got bigger, I was striping in the yarn as I was knitting the yoke. And as the yoke got bigger, of course, I have less and less yarn as the you know, later on in the Advent calendar. So I measured like day, I don't know, 22, for example. I measured one of those days that I could tell that the yarn ball was pretty small, and it was only 3 grams left after I added the stripe into the excavation blanket. So I am just using every little bit that I have left over from this yarn. So for the ribbing, I was able to get 10 rounds of each of those colors. And then for day 3, I had enough to make 15 rounds. I didn't count for day 4, but it was a little less than 15 rounds. These colors are pretty well blended. You can hardly tell the transition, but you can kind of see it's more obvious on the cuff, but right here, these colors really blend well together. Days 3, 4, and 5 are what I've got on the leg of the sock there. And as you can see, I'm just doing plain stockinette for the legs. So I usually do 70 rounds. After the cuff, I do about 70 rounds for my legs before I do my heel flap and gusset. And I'll just do that. I'll just knit as long as I can. And if I end up running out, I'll just add in some extra scraps, probably near the toes if I run out, but we'll see. I'm not exactly sure how that will go, but we will see. And they're so much fun. I absolutely love scrappy socks. So anyway, I love working on those so much. Those are all fingering weight, of course. The last thing I have to share with you is this amazing box of yarn that I was sent from Lindsay of Always Yarn First on Instagram, and she also has a podcast, so I will link to that in the description box below for you to check that out. But she was extremely generous and sent this large box of yarn, and it is filled with so much loveliness. So I'm going to go through it and share it with you if you are interested in seeing this. So these will be prizes that I will be gifting throughout the year. So if you are participating in the Make 9 2022 MAL, then yeah, maybe you'd really be interested in seeing what prizes you could potentially win throughout the year. Now, Lindsay did say that I could keep something if I wanted to, and I am going to keep, I haven't decided yet which one I'm going to keep, but I am going to keep something for myself. So I'll show you which ones are my favorites. But I'll just randomly go through this otherwise. She sent me 2 skeins of Felici. Where is the other one buried? Here it is. 2 different colorways of Felici from Knit Picks. This one is called Game Over. And this one is called 7 Seas. So these are self-striping yarn, and they're fingering weight 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. I'll probably gift those together, even though they're not matching. If I were to keep these, I would make a pair of stripy socks using both. I would go through, it's usually a 6 stripe repeat with Felici. So I would do a stripe repeat with this colorway, and then a stripe repeat of this colorway, and then continue that throughout the sock. So it'd be like a 12 stripe sock. But of course, you can make shorties with these as well, just using the one skein. Next is this beautiful one. It's a Zauberball. Look at those beautiful colors. Perfect for spring. I'll try to maybe give that away sooner than later. Let's see. The colorway maybe just has a number, which is 2079. It does say Durch die Blume. I don't really remember how to pronounce German, even though I took it. Durch die Blume, I think. It's also a 75% superwash and 25%, I'm sorry, 75% virgin wool. It is a superwash and 25% nylon. Really pretty though. Ooh, this is another gorgeous one. I'm assuming this is also self-striping. I'm pretty sure that would be. It's by Hot Springs Fiber Company. It is called, I think the base is called Seriously Sock, and the colorway is called the Ladies of AYC. I don't know what that stands for. It's an 85% merino wool, 15% nylon base. Such pretty colors there as well. It's a really soft base as well. Okay, I'll share my two favorites now. They're not by the same company, but I just love them so much. Oh my goodness, they're so pretty. These are definitely my favorites of what she sent. Oh, aren't they amazing? So I can't decide which one I'm going to keep, but I'm going to keep one of these for myself, I think. They're so beautiful. This one's by Yarn Inc. and it is the Amour set. Classic sock base, 75%, 75-25 again. And this one is by Knit Two Together. Oh, I'm sorry. This is by Hugh Loco. It's a collaboration with the Grocery Girls, and it's a Knit Two Together sock club. This is from October. I'm not sure what year though. And it's called Jet Setter. It's on an 80-20 base. Oh, it's so gorgeous. Both of these are just like right up my alley, and I can't decide which one I want, but so I'll probably save whichever one I don't keep till the end of the year, probably, because it'll take me that long to decide which one I want to keep. All right, this one is by Hedgehog Fibers, a really fun colorway. Look at all of the different colors in there. It's filled with so much color. This is called Catapult, and it's on an 80% Blue Face Leicester, 20% nylon base. These are all fingering weight, by the way. Isn't she so generous? I'm just blown away by the generosity of this box. These both are 50-gram skeins, and I'll probably gift these as a set as well. They're by Hypnotic Yarn. And let's see, this one is from July of 2021. It's called Nigeria. And this one is from September of 2021 called Strawberry Finch. They're both so pretty, and they'd be fun to even stripe together in a pair of socks or something. They're both on a 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon base. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Oh, here's another one that's amazing. This is also by Hedgehog Fibers. Twist sock. Another 80% Blue Face Leicester, 20% nylon. Oh, the colorway is called Kimono. That one's gorgeous too. Oh my goodness, look at that pop. That's amazing. So pretty. How could you part with these, Lindsay? I don't know how you could part with them. This one is by Destination Yarn, and it is called Tide Pool. It's also a 75-25 base. Beautiful summery colors in that. Reminds me, yeah, Tide Pool is a good name for it, because it really reminds me of the ocean coral in there as well. So pretty. Beautiful. And the last one is this super bright colorway from La Vienna May, and it is a Merino Super Sock, 75-25, and the colorway is called J. Kim is Grello, I guess. It won't, it's so bright, but it's beautiful too. It'd be so fun in a pair of socks. I'm not a neon person generally, but that's fun. And it's got that nice gray color in there as well. It's really pretty. Super fun. So thank you so much, Lindsay. This is just an absolutely incredibly generous donation, and I'm so grateful for your generosity. I can't tell you how grateful I am. So incredibly generous. So thank you very, very much for your generosity. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. That is all I have to share with you all today. I thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I would appreciate that so much. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you all are doing really well. Take care. Bye-bye.